Belarus's prisoners of conscience were remembered at the Index on Censorship Awards. How important is it that there is external knowledge, external awareness of the situation internally in Belarus?
I believe that tonight a recognition of all political prisoners of Belarus is the most important thing that is happening. If nobody talks about political prisoners in Belarus, nothing would be changed. The only thing that could change the situation in the country when it would be continuous attention to Belarus. Otherwise it will be forgotten, as it's always forgotten for the last 16 years. And we are just going in the circles for the last 16 years. In between presidential elections, in between presidential elections, the world just forgets about Belarus. And only before the elections, journalists are coming to Belarus to report on what's happened. And I believe that the situation that took place on December 19 of 2010 showed that the world needs to pay attention to Belarus on an everyday basis. Because this is the country that represented by the dictator. And this is the last dictatorship in Europe. And it's absolutely unique moment when it's possible to get rid of the last dictatorship in Europe. And for the world, it's a shame that it's not still possible to make it. So while all of us are remembering all people who were kidnapped, killed in Belarus, and those who are today in prisons, this is the key moment for people in the country and for the world to remember.
It is very important that Index on Censorship gave this reward to political prisoners in Belarus. They might not be aware of it, but they will with time, and I hope sooner rather than later. But people of Belarus know now that they are not left on their own, and this solidarity from the outside world is extremely important to keep that fighting spirit in it. And so I'm really grateful to Index for recognizing it and presenting this award to political prisoners.
The situation in Belarus is dire, and there are a considerable number of political prisoners. Tonight we've heard stories from Tunisia, from Egypt, where very quickly, out of nowhere, a popular movement arose, and in those countries no one expected this to happen. Nobody expected, not even no experts, not people on the ground. Do the examples of Tunisia and Egypt fill you with some optimism for Belarus? Do they make you think that someday external pressure will take the 42 prisoners, 52 prisoners out of prison and will eventually overthrow Lukashenko?
I believe that examples of Tunisia and Egypt are greatest example of people's will. And this is the same thing that happened in Belarus on December 19, that from 50 to 60,000 people went to the streets of Minsk to defend their right for free and fair elections. And it was the main reason why Lukashenko, who is the last dictator of Europe, he exercised a bloody force against his own people. That's why there are hundreds of people who were arrested, and that's why up to 60 people today are facing 15 years in jail.
Excuse me.
And we do believe. I think this is the reason why we're doing campaign Free Belarus now, and why it was initiated by Irina and by Tom Stoppard and all people who got united in order to protect those who are today in the jails. That's why this campaign is going on, because we do believe that it's possible to change it, and people of Belarus are showing it on everyday basis. When you are transferred from KGB jail to house arrest and you continue to report on what's happening in Belarus, then it means that everything would be changed. And this is the amazing example of Natalia, editor-in-chief of Charter 97, who was nominated last year for Index on Censorship Award. So yes, we do believe that it's possible, but it's possible only when there will be joint action of the world in regards to Belarus. For today, there are too many words of politicians and no actions. And people of Belarus, they act, they move, they do, but it's not possible to make it without world support. So it's time for the world to support the case of Belarus.
And I do believe that it's not only there are too many words and no supports, it's actually on the contrary. A lot of countries surreptitiously, if you want, support dictatorship because they're investing in Belarus, they making business with Belarus. One way or the other, they are still communicating with dictator when he is actually illegitimate president. Why is he recognized? Why lines of communications are not closed? So I actually feel that at the moment people of Belarus don't have any support from outside world, on the contrary. So something needs to be done to give this last push hand of help and support to Belarusian people, because I think the spirit, the revolutionary spirit is there.
Index has obviously had a kind of reasonably long relationship with the former Soviet Union and through today to Belarus. And since I've been working on Belarus, it's very clear that the situation's got much worse. Like Andre came to the pub with us after a wonderful packed out Index on Censorship event, and we drank, and it was a really enjoyable evening. And you know, we met in very different circumstances with Natalia Radzina this time last year, when Natalia was doing freedom. It's clear the situation has suddenly got significantly worse. Do people in Belarus understand the situation to be far worse than it was only a year ago? Is there this recognition that there's a slow growth of the culture of fear in that country?
It would be difficult for me to basically say whether people in Belarus see it's been happening over the last year, but I can definitely see that since the 19th of December, people can see that situation has gone so much worse, because before the 19th of December, Lukashenko was still playing this sort of flirting with the West and trying to show that there is some democracy in Belarus and everything. And on the 19th of December, you know, he showed his true colors. So even those people who were for him at the election time are not anymore. Majority of them are not anymore, and they definitely started to see much more of what's happening in the country.
You know, I was in jail only overnight, so there were actually about 18 hours. But I think I would remember this night till the end of my life. When you are packed in a van and there are 70 people in that van, when you are getting one by one from that van and going to jail, and you are getting to jail and you see hundreds of men facing walls with their hands back, and you hear the phrase that women should be splitted from men, and you are taken for a second floor. And you do not expect what you would see on the second floor. And when you are coming there, you see hundreds of women facing walls with their hands back. You cannot move, you cannot talk. At some point, when there are no special division of police at the presence, you start to talk and you understand that there are absolutely amazing women who stay there and who came to the square to defend their right for free and fair elections for the first time in their lives. First of all, there were young girls who were just like 18, 19 years old, so it was the first time for them to vote. So they grew up under dictatorship and they used this chance of voting and showing their voice against the last dictator. They were women 58, 62, and 70 years old who said that we came with our husbands and our children. And the girl who was staying right nearby, she said, you know what? I was in a cafe, in a restaurant with my boyfriend, who is a German. And I just heard this amazing sound of people moving. I got out from that restaurant and I went hundreds, thousands of people in the street. And I said, do you go with me? And he said, no, you know, I represent the German company and I cannot, because we don't know whether our company would be closed. She looked at him and she said, then why do I need him if he doesn't want to join my case? And she went and she joined that amazing stream of energy of people, and she was with me in the jail. And I know that she doesn't have this boyfriend anymore because he didn't support the case of people of Belarus. So yeah, I mean, that was amazing. That night with those ladies, it was the most amazing night in my life.
I'll leave it there. That's brilliant. Really, really good. Thank you.
Thank you.